Hi everybody, today we're going to have a look at how to solve this past paper question. It's in the May-June 2016 question paper 2.2, question number 6. I'm going to show you the approach to solving it, and I'm going to try and explain why I think the answer is wrong. Anyway, let's get started. So we're going to work our way through this algorithm, which is a definition of this function SSM. And here is the call to the function with these two parameters. This is string 1 and this is string 2, okay, as defined here. Right, so let's get started. Oh, by the way, we also need to be familiar with the how the mid function works. And the mid function is at the back of the question paper, if I can find it. Yes, here it is. So it takes two strings, it takes a string and it returns a string of length y, which is this parameter here, starting at this position. So at position 2, which is B, it returns a string of length 3. So that's B, C, D. So we already know that the first index of this function definition is 1. A is index 1, B is index 2, C is index 3, etc. So starting at position 2, we take out 3 characters. So that's how the mid function works. Now then, let's get on with this then. Right, so when we call the function, n is set to 0 and f is set to 0. Then we go into a repeat loop. N becomes n plus 1. So n is updated to 1, and this is going to take a little bit of time fiddling around with Illustrator, apologies, and x is assigned n, so x becomes 1 because that's what n is, and y is set to 1. So n becomes n plus 1, x becomes n, and y becomes 1, while mid string 1 x1. Well, x is 1, so string 1, 1, 1 is R. So here we're going to put an R. Now remember, we're in a while loop at the moment. So that thing there is R. Now let's have a look at the next one. String 2, Y1. Well, Y has a value of 1. So mid string 2, 1, 1 is that first character there, which is also R. I hope that makes sense. It will when you become more familiar with how the mid function works. So while R is the same as R, that's true. If Y equals length of string 2, well, the string 2 length is 3, and currently Y is equal to 1. So that's false. So let's jump to the else statement, x equals x plus 1 and y equals y plus 1. So let's update these two values. That's going to have to be done on the next row, so that they both become 2. Now remember, that's the end of that if statement. We're still in the while loop. Now we need to go back to the top of the while loop to check this condition again. So while mid string 1 x1, well, x is now 2, so we're looking at this e. While this e is the same as this a, right? Because that is string 2 y1, and y now has a value of 2, so we're looking at that a. So we need to put those values in. Mid string 1 x1 is now e, and mid string 2 y1 is now a. So while e equals a, well, that's not true. So we come out of the while loop and then we check this until condition. Until n is the same as length of string 1. Well, n is just 1, and the length of string 1 is 7, so that's not true. Or f doesn't equal 0. well, f equals 0. So we're still in this repeat loop. So we go back to the top, n is assigned n plus 1. So let's put that onto a new row. Whoops. Have I just destroyed my 1? Let's see if we can get that back. Yeah. So that goes onto a new row. N is updated. X is assigned n. So x becomes n. And y is assigned 1 again. So y goes back to being 1. While mid string x1, well, x is now 2, so we're looking at that e, while e is the same as mid string 2 y1. Well, y has gone back to 1 again, so we're comparing e with r, right? So let's just put that in. That's e, and that's r. So are they the same? While they're the same, that's not true. So we don't do the while loop. We come to this until n is equal to length of string 1. Well, that's not true yet. String 1 is length 7, n is just 2. Or f doesn't equal 0. F is still 0. So we go back to the top of the repeat loop again. N is assigned n plus 1. Let's do this. N is assigned n plus 1. X becomes n. And y is again assigned a value of 1. Y is assigned a value of 1. So while mid string 1 x1, well, x is 3, so we're now looking at that t. So let's put that in here. While t is the same as string 2 y1. Well, y has a value of 1, so it's still sitting at that r. So our while loop condition is false again. So we don't do the while loop. That while loop doesn't happen. N is 3, it's not 7. Or f doesn't equal 0, f still equals 0. We go back to the top of the repeat until n is incremented. I hope you're starting to get the way this is working. It is painfully time consuming. X is assigned n, and y miraculously is still assigned 1. Now, because it's being assigned 1 here in the code, I'm always putting it in here. If y simply wasn't changing, but it wasn't being reassigned anything, I wouldn't be filling out this column. Like f. F is just 0, and it's never been reassigned yet. I haven't got any reassignment code, so I'm just leaving f blank. Y and x are always being updated with something, even though it's the same value, so I am filling in the column. I hope that makes sense. While mid string 1 x1, so x is now 4, so we're now looking at this r here, the 4th character. Let's just grab an r and stick that in there. Is the same as string 2 y1. Well, y has a value of 1, so r. Okay, so this time our while condition is true. While r is the same as r, that's true. If y equals length string 2, well, y is 1, so that's not true. So we go to this else. X equals x plus 1, y equals y plus 1. Let's fill that in. X is assigned x plus 1, and y is assigned y plus 1. So that becomes 2. Right. That's the end of that if statement. We're still in the while loop, so we just need to go around again and check the next condition. String x, so x is 5, so we've reached the a. So string 1, mid string 1 x1 is now a. And this is also a, right? Because y is 2, so we're looking at that a there. So that's true. So if y is the same as length string 2, well, y is 2, so that's not true. We're going to increment x and y again. So that becomes 6. And that becomes 3. Y becomes 3. Y equals y plus 1. So now we're going to, we've done that, we're still in the while loop, string x, so x is 6, so we've reached this C, and y is 3, so that's also C, they're both C. Whoops, can I change that to C? And we'll change that one to C. So that's true if y is equal to the length of string 2. Well, the length of string 2 is 7. I think I've messed up. So that's true. We've got C and C. If y is equal to the length of string 2. The length of string 2 is 3. Y is 3. It's true. So f becomes n. F becomes n, which is currently 4. So let's just put that into the f column. F becomes 4. Now, according to the answer scheme, if that's true, then f becomes n. We go to end if, we go to n while, and then it jumps to until n equals the length of string 1, or f doesn't equal 0. F doesn't equal 0. We're out of the loop. And that's the end of the question. I think the answer is wrong, because when x is 6 and y is 3, that mid function returns C, and that returns C. Y is equal to this, so f does become n. The if statement finishes, but we're still in the while loop. We haven't got out of the while loop yet. In my opinion, nothing is getting us out of this while loop, because x and y are not changing. However, according to the answer scheme, that's the answer. And, of course, I may be wrong. Have a think about it.